What is up, y'all? It's the Eric V, your Stream Teach here. Happy New Year. Ever since the beginning of streamer school, I've been preaching the significance of making eye contact with your audience.
Look into your camera. This is something that I don't see streamers do enough.
Whether you're making a YouTube video or you're just going live, making eye contact as much as possible increases connection with your audience. And connection is what makes live streaming. It is what connects your audience to you and keeps lurkers and chatters engaged. A lot of people find this difficult to do because of ADHD, nervousness, or just not being able to multitask properly. Elgato has a solution. It's simply called the Prompter. I'm going to talk about everything it can do, how much it weighs, setup, what's in the box, and pros and cons. Let's get into it. Class is in session.
So for the rest of the video, I'll be using Elgato's prompter to read off my key points because I script these with bullets, you can say, about the things I want to mention. So the first thing I noticed was that the box was a little bit bigger than usual. And what came in that box was some step-up rings for your DSLR camera, a Facecam Pro plate, your USB-A to USB-C adapter, and a cleaning cloth. Now, even though this box is big, it is not a huge device. The screen itself is 9 inches, and the mirror will reflect that 9 inches. Now, when you plug the prompter into your Windows machine, it will automatically detect it as a display. You don't have to flip it within Windows settings or anything like that. With Mac, I think there is an additional download, but I do not have a Mac. The screen is at 600p resolution, so it is very clear for the size of the screen. There's 3 different modes for the prompter. If you want to use it as an additional display, as if I needed more, you can use it for text for your script. That's the mode I have it in right now. If you want to view your Twitch chat, there's an option for that as well. What I have not done is used it in the display mode and popped out my OBS Twitch chat and put it on the screen. That's something I do want to play around with because the native app to see the chat doesn't show all of the emotes you might typically see in a Twitch chat. So some of those come out as text and that takes up a lot of space on the prompter. So during my Wednesday stream, which is my last stream before TwitchCon, I'll be using that instead to see if that's a better experience for me. And that's not to say that the experience is poor with the prompter at all. I would say the opposite. It's been a pretty good experience. And I only say pretty good because I am a streamer who, like I said, regularly looks at his camera lens to make sure that I connect with the audience. My 3 points of streaming is to look at the chat, look at the game, look at the camera. Combining 2 of those things, that being the chat and the camera, takes a step out of that process for me and makes things a lot easier. So I do like it for that. This prompter is very versatile with the amount of cameras that you can use it with. You can use it with an up to 20mm FOV, so unless you're using super crazy fisheye lens, you aren't gonna see the bezels of the device appear in your shot. Additionally, when it comes to using your prompter as an additional monitor, you can simply use it for Zoom calls. If you're a work from home professional, you can just give that person you're talking to your eye contact. And we'll talk about the limitations of that once we get into the cons section. Like I said, it comes with a Facecam Pro plate, so it is directly compatible with that straight out of the box. If you want to know what other cameras it's compatible with, there is a list that I'll link to in the description, so you can check that out. But it does have the shroud plate, which I'm using currently on my Sony a5100, which is universal for any webcam, the base Facecam, and you can even use it with your phone as a camera. On the top of the device, there are some mounts that you can use additional accessories to, and you can just clamp and make your prompter into a transformer. If you want to use the features that I mentioned within Camera Hub, you have to make sure you update it to the last version, which should be available today, as well as updating your Stream Deck so that you can use it with your prompter. So if you want to scroll, if you want to adjust the brightness, you can do that directly from your Stream Deck Plus, or even your Stream Deck pedal. So when you're giving presentations and you want to scroll while keeping your hands free, that's another use for the Stream Deck pedal, which I think is a great way to try to get people into your Elgato ecosystem. I see you, Elgato. If you're using step-up rings, if you have a bigger lens on your camera, these tend to work just fine. My Canon T5i worked perfectly with it for my Sony a5100, as well as for my base model face cam. I had to use the shroud back plate, which gives your camera a little Batman cape to make sure that you don't see through the device, because it is a two-way mirror the same way cops use. I've used the prompter for 3 streams now, which totaled to about 13 or so hours, and I only got asked about moving my chat. Nobody suspected that I was using a teleprompter. I did tell them that I had something new and that I did move my chat, but nobody picked up that I was using a teleprompter. So they did notice that the eye contact increased. And this is getting into the con section of the device. A lot of times when you're on Twitch, the expectation of viewers is not for streamers to look at the camera because they simply aren't used to streamers doing it. Again, I do it already. However, the amount that I looked into the camera was obviously up a lot. And that made viewers feel uncomfortable sometimes. It kind of creeped them out a little bit. Yeah, I did. Do you feel connected? Do you feel creeped out? Both. So even though I think that it is best for all of us streamers to try to look at our cameras more because we are talking to an audience, viewers simply aren't used to it. I don't know what it'll take for that to change, but naturally some people are a bit averse to eye contact in a live format, especially. I think with the YouTube video, people are used to it and they expect it. But for when it comes to lives, it's like, why is he staring at my soul? Like, I get so many comments like that naturally, but with the prompter, I'm expecting a lot more, and I do plan to continue to use the prompter as I continue to stream. And this is a me thing, I'll say, until I practice and get better at it. I can see my eyes scanning the chat, and I have it at its default font size and its default margins, default font, all of that. Also, if you have a particularly active chat, it might be hard to keep up with the size of the monitor without making the font smaller. And with making the font smaller, you obviously make the chat a bit harder to read, and you increase how much your eyes have to scan. So if you have a particularly long-winded chatter, this might throw off you reading your chat entirely. Now, fortunately for me, I have a total of 5 monitors now. So I have an additional chat on my screen if I need to scroll up quickly. But if I wanted to scroll up on my prompter as well, I can just bring my mouse up to the top and just scroll it like I would any other document. The reason I don't like doing that is because, again, my eyes are scanning and obviously like looking at stuff while I'm staring into the camera. And it's kind of weird for people, I think. They haven't said it too much, but I do think it's weird for me to just look through things. So that's something that you have to consider. Also, what could add to this creep factor that I'm thinking about is the fact that I am doing my Halloween streams, if it wasn't obvious, for the month of October, and my lighting is a little bit creepy as well. So that could add to the creep factor. Another con that I have for the prompter is something that is basically on me. My camera is mounted to the back of my monitor. My monitor is mounted to a triple monitor mount. I have to mount my camera on the L bracket and then mount the prompter on that bracket. Setting that up without dropping monitors and keeping everything aligned took like an hour. So if you have a weird camera mounting situation like I do, or something that's very involved, do consider that. I would have filmed the process, but I would have run out of storage. So here's me setting up the prompter on my base face cam. The amount of time it took me to set this device up is also the reason why you did not ever see me hold the prompter in my hands. I am very nervous to move this thing at all because it took me a lot of work. And again, it's on me. It took me a lot of work to set it up, but it is pretty basic. It has your 1/4 inch mounting brackets, I believe it is. Yeah, a 1/4 inch mounting bracket, and you don't need any tools to set it up. So I think all of that's great. I did see teleprompters on Amazon, but what I did notice was that they required an external device like a phone or a tablet for the script to be read from. With it being integrated into your setup directly with the Elgato prompter, it does make everything more seamless and streamlined, leading to an experience that just kind of works. Some of you may have tried out NVIDIA Broadcast's eye contact feature, and something I noticed with that heavily affected my GPU. And if you're trying to game on the same device that you're using any type of NVIDIA blurs and backgrounds and stuff, it's really gonna eat into your stream performance, your game performance, and possibly risk a bad experience for yourself and your viewers. So with the hardware solution, it takes the load off of your computer. Coming in at an MSRP of $279. If you struggle with making eye contact while you're live streaming, the first thing I would say is practice. Like, just try. Just try to keep your camera near your chat and just try to mentally remind yourself to look at your camera. If that's a little much for you and the prompter seems like a good buy for you, do it. I would also say it's great for musicians as well as people who work from home. But I will say, when it comes to Zoom calls, I feel like that creep factor is probably increased a little bit more, because as much as people aren't used to streamers maintaining eye contact, they definitely are not used to their coworkers making eye contact during a call or an interview. But it might be something I want to try out. If you're a YouTuber like myself, amazing. Cannot wait to use this for more videos that are definitely coming in less than 10 months. But if you want to see me put the Elgato prompter to use, make sure you check me out at twitch.tv/theericv. Class dismissed.